Hello everyone, welcome back to Luna Reacts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you that have watched my first video of the Tell Them Why You Love Me documentary on Netflix, thank you so much all of you that have tuned into that. If you have not watched that first part, please make sure that you go there and watch it there so that you can pretty much know what I'm talking about in this particular video, which is part 2 of Tell Them Why You Love Me documentary reaction. So I just want to thank you all that have subscribed. If you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so. Also, make sure that you like this video, share this video, and if you have not clicked the notification bell, please make sure that you click that as well so that you can see any other videos that I post as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the second part of Tell Them Why You Love Me or Tell Them That You Love Me on Netflix. So just a recap, in case you guys, aren't really sure where we left off. We left off at Anna Stubberfield. Pretty much the story is about a young disabled man who has cerebral palsy, and he came across this program where they do felicitated communication, pretty much giving disabled people a keyboard, having them type out what they, whatever response or whatever they want to say on that keyboard so that they can actually have a voice for those people who have trouble speaking and whatnot. It gives them a voice. So this woman, Anna Stubberfield, is a doctor at this college. She's a teacher there. And pretty much she meets Derrick through one of her students, and they grow a relationship. So she says eventually they grow into a romantic relationship, and we left off at her telling his family that they had made love, and we're pretty much seeing how the cookie crumbles. So let's get into it.
So he typed, Anna and I are in love, and we have a physical relationship. I think John said something about, use protection, and then Demand said yes, and
she said yes. We have made love.
Oh, child. Woo, Lord, give us grace.
And I was like, what?
Oh, you going to hell?
Yes, we made love.
You going straight.
He's a man in every sense of the word.
That's nice.
And what I did, I sat on my hand.
Yeah, because she was about to pop her in her mouth.
And I said, you did what?
You was about to get popped. Straight to the dome.
They asked me about where things were at with my husband, and I told them I really did want to be with Demand permanently, to marry him, that I hadn't talked to my husband yet, but that I was going to very soon. And there was a moment as part of the conversation where he asked me to kiss him. I found that a little awkward, like I didn't really want to in that moment.
Why you don't want to kiss him in front of his family? I felt a little awkward. I didn't really want to. No, go ahead and keep that same energy with your nasty self, and not the good nasty. Keep that same fucking energy, the same energy that you have always had. Go ahead and kiss him in front of his mom, so we know it's real. Trifling
moment, just like, but he insisted, so I did.
I tried to be civil. John had gone somewhere, and I think he went down and threw up.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to make of it at the time, but I felt myself getting so angry and rage-filled that I left. I went downstairs.
I just want to say something real quick. This is completely sidebar. Don't he look like that guy that played on Medea's Why Did I Get Married? Don't he look like Marcus? I think they could be brothers. They look exactly alike. That's his doppelganger. Okay. My bad.
I paced the floor a bunch of times. I looked at the cracks in the wall. I remember I had to let my anger subside.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I said goodbye to Demand, and Daisy was there, and she came and gave me a big hug and said, we'll get through this. We'll figure this out.
She is lying.
I was heading out the door and just saying goodbye to Demand. I said to him, good call, love, fun, and it was a good choice to tell them.
You are so...
And then I left, and,
stupid.
I was feeling fine.
Good call? Yeah, good. Okay.
John called me the next morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I think I knew something was going to be wrong when I saw he was calling. He said, Daisy and I don't want you to see Demand.
And get this. This shows you just how smug her ass is, because her door is orange. And don't they wear that? They wear orange. A lot of prisons, they be wearing orange jumpsuits. So just to show, you'll see why I'm saying what I'm saying, but just to show how smug her ass is, she gonna have an orange door. And I know you'll be like, oh, maybe that's her favorite color. Fuck you. Fuck you. You. I know the psychological play that you are. That she's trying to put. I know exactly what she's doing. Trifling ass.
Until you and she and I have a chance to sit down and talk. We sort of scheduled a meeting, then she pulled out, then John or Daisy got back to me and said, we just don't want to meet. That was when then I started calling Daisy.
Hey Daisy, it's Anna. Calling to find out if things are going to work out. I'm hoping for us to get together tomorrow.
No.
She would talk to me on the phone. I would kind of address her concerns and talk about things.
Daisy, this is Anna. I've been thinking about concerns that you raised the last time that we talked. And I'll put in writing with my finger and sign with blood that I will commit to a specific time when I will leave my husband and I will make a permanent life and home with the man.
Girl, bye. No.
And then she stopped returning my calls.
She left this message, I will sign my name in blood so I can be with Derrick.
Weird.
And at that point I was just like, oh, this is off the chain. Something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I guess the academic side of me just started focusing in on facilitated communication. Mm-hmm. I had a number of questions. I had a number of red flags. One of the things that happened with the facilitated communication was that part of the sessions were for us, my mom and I, to also practice with him. Mm-hmm. And so I would be there with him and, a sentence would come out. All right, John, you try. And so I would try to, and I would get nothing. Eventually he would apply pressure. I may get 2 words, but it wouldn't make sense. And then when my mama tried, nothing would happen.
See all these marks on my arm? That was Derrick's facilitating. He would grab me and pull my hand, take my hand away from his.
The coaching from Anna was, you have to keep trying, you have to keep practicing, you have to anticipate what he's going to say. That was one of those That's when I guess my own doubts started to creep in, and that's when I started looking for the video that I initially saw in the classroom to see what in the world am I doing wrong?
Right.
And that's when I stumbled upon the Frontline documentary on FC.
Some people had their doubts about facilitated communication. Dr. Howard Shane has devoted his life to helping disabled, nonverbal people to communicate.
Dr. Shane. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Okay, private jet.
In 1990, I got a call from a prosecutor in Western Massachusetts because someone was being facilitated, and while being facilitated, he mentioned that his aide in his group residence was sexually abusing him. And the prosecutor wanted to be sure that this individual was actually independently communicating. when you have somebody hold your hand, it obviously brings up the question every time, well, are they being influenced? How can you be sure that these individuals are actually, independently communicating, or they aren't being facilitated and really being influenced? I went on to design a protocol that would enable me to determine who was authoring the message.
Okay, folks, what I'm going to be doing now...
Shane had devised a double-blind test like this. He showed both a series of pictures and asked them to type what they saw.
Betsy, I'm sure you're looking at it.
When both Betsy and her facilitator saw a picture of a key, the letters K-E-Y were typed. But Shane wanted to discover what happened if each saw a different picture.
Okay.
When Betsy saw a cup, she didn't type cup, she typed hat. What the facilitator saw.
Look at that.
I'll take a look at this one. Okay.
When Betsy was shown a picture of a dog, she didn't type dog, but sneakers.
That's wild.
What the facilitator saw.
That is wild.
Okay, here's the next one.
Later work that I did and others have done seems to indicate that facilitators were doing this thinking that they were giving people the ability to be able to communicate.
Ooh, baby.
I don't think that they're intentionally trying to create a false message.
See how fast
They
he's
believe
moving
that this
his
is
hand? Look
coming
how they
from
doing
the
it.
person who's being facilitated.
They like,
The scientific evidence
They's moving
suggested
their
that
hands.
far from unlocking the minds of autistic individuals, FC tapped the unconscious thoughts of the facilitator.
I just remember thinking at the time, Derrick was writing those papers. What I found interesting in hindsight is that a lot of it revolved around this idea of, now I have a voice. Now I can speak and talk. And whereas I was trapped, now I have this freedom. And a lot of it revolved around things that just, in my estimation, were not about Derrick. And so to me, it was just like, this whole FC thing is bogus.
that's so sad.
I never got any vibe off of John or Daisy that they didn't 100% believe that what Demand said was Demand's words.
You dumb.
I had been careful in the beginning to make
smart
sure
that
that
you
I
got.
wasn't influencing him. But there were so many situations that he was telling me information I didn't know. And in the beginning, I was checking it to make sure that I wasn't influencing. And the fact that we had arguments and disagreements and so on and so forth. I mean, he very clearly had his own mind.
It's all in your head. You're
He more than
psychotic.
proved himself.
You are
The homework
psychotic.
assignments that Demand had typed with Sharonda, and she hadn't read the books. I mean, had John come and talk to me, I had all of this proof that I could have shared with him to reassure him.
I have seen the communication absolutely horrible. I can't say it is universally applicable at but who can? For instance,
No, ma'am.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Facilitated communication, the individual, what he does is that he points to the letters or types them with the assistance of someone else.
Yeah, the key there is to make sure that the facilitator, the person holding the hand, is not unintentionally trying to spell things out themselves or guessing or assuming what it is the person is saying.
So it's safe to say that it's a thin line. I mean, it's hard to say. Okay.
At the time, we weren't trying to pursue any kind of legal thing. We just wanted to leave us alone. But then one day, the director of Derrick's day program got an email from Anna, and the gist of it was, Daisy and John have not allowed me to see Derrick, but Daisy and John don't know what's in Derrick's best interest, but we as people who work with people with disabilities do.
Girl, wow. Pure insanity.
And at that point, I saw, well, you know what? If she's going to go to these lengths to try to get to Derrick behind our back, there's no telling what she may do. And I need to take steps necessary to put an end to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made an appointment to meet with the dean. I remember going into her office, and I started to tell her what was going on. She kind of froze and was like, took a deep breath and was somewhat in disbelief. I don't think I had taken opportunity to kind of let myself release this emotion. I was just sat in that office, and I don't think I ever cried in front of a white woman before, but I just broke down. And she basically said to me in so many words, John, make sure you get a lawyer.
Yeah, definitely. It's on and popping.
Hello?
Hello, Anna?
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
What's up?
I want
What's
to talk
up?
to you about Derrick.
You
There's
know
been
what's
some
up.
things that's been bothering me about our last conversation.
I got a phone call one day from Daisy, and she said,
He has not been acting himself, and I think he misses you.
Sure as hell miss him.
she said, he's been biting his hand a lot more. He's really unhappy. So she said, I'm just trying to understand what happened between the two of you.
He's been mouthing his hands and doing all sorts of things. So, I need to know how many times you all made love, Anna. I really, because I'm thinking about what's really going on with Derrick and how he's feeling.
Just disgusting, bro.
To me, it sounded like, oh, maybe this is an opening. Maybe they're seeing he's unhappy and they're reconsidering. And so I was happy to answer her questions.
I'm sure you were.
In terms of actually
So invincible.
making love, there were 2 Sundays that we were able to be together like that.
So what did you do? Please clear this up in my head for me.
Well, my office has enough floor space, and I brought in an exercise mat and the beach towel. And
At your office? She was doing this at her office, at work. She was doing this at work. I feel like she's lying. I feel like it was more than 2 times. She was doing this at work. This is insane. Like, pure insanity. And she just is fluent with it. Like, yes. And I just laid him down on a mat at my job and just, ma'am, you cannot do stuff like that. She was so comfortable with this family. Way too comfortable. Completely crossed over all types of boundaries. Completely unprofessional. It's mind-boggling. And was so confident that she wasn't going to get in trouble for it.
and we were able to make things work.
Again, that feels kind of weird to talk about with your lover's mother, but,
You don't even feel right saying
whatever.
lover, do
If
you?
it kept the conversation going and if she was listening.
He is the most important person in my life. I'm the most important
You have
person
2
in his
children.
life.
Yo, she talking about he's the most important person in her life. You have a husband and 2 children. Your children are the most important people in your life? What in this, you known this man, what, a year and a half? And you talk about your children are not more important than Derrick? You're psychotic. You're freaking psychotic, bro. You're Lulu. You are in the Lulu land.
We're so
Like
happy
you
when we're
running it.
together. I'm lucky if I get through 20 minutes of any day without thinking about him. If I did things like bite my hands, I'd be biting my hands right now too.
Obsession.
I found out later that was that phone call had been set up by the police and they had coached her on what to say, and it was being recorded.
Got your ass.
The date is August 22nd, 2011. This is regarding Special Victims Unit case number S11-0141. The target of the investigation is a one Marjorie Ann Stubberfield. The consenting party is a one Daisy P. Johnson. The crimes investigated are crimes of the sexual assault nature.
A mess. A mess. Trifling.
It was a Monday, and I was teaching class in the afternoon, so I pulled into the parking lot, and I was approached by two people in plain clothes. And they said, we're with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, and we need to ask you some questions. And the only thing I could think of was something about a student.
See, she was just so,
I'm
just clear
wondering
that she was
what's
going to
going
get away
on.
scot-free.
And then they said, do you know somebody named Derrick Johnson? I was like, okay, and that was, or it's starting to penetrate that, wow, okay, this is...
Nice choice of words.
So then I had to make a decision on the spot about how much do I say? But I figured, you know what, I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
I talked to them for about 2 hours, and I told them the whole story. That we were in love and all of that stuff. I just didn't actually say the words, we consummated the relationship.
Girl.
They drove me back to the parking lot at Rutgers, and there was a person I didn't know who identified himself as a representative of the dean's office. He handed me a letter, and the letter informed me that as of this moment, I was suspended from my teaching duties at Rutgers. I was not allowed on campus.
Don't ever come back. And she really believed that she didn't do nothing wrong. This lady is really like... she really believed that she did not do nothing wrong. She really believes it. You are that crazy.
And while I was there, they had gone to my house with a search warrant. My now ex-husband was there, so he's found out that I'm under investigation.
Good for you. I'm like, who are those people in the picture? They don't look like her kids at all.
This is Detective Christine Mikowski of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. I'm interviewing Miss Shir Jones. Miss Jones, did there ever come a time that you got involved with Anna Stubberfield?
Yes. My professor suggested her because I work with children with mental and behavioral disorders. So she figured that it would probably be a good connection because she talked about working with facilitated communication.
Can you tell me a little bit about the facilitated communication? What kind of process is that?
It's pretty much me being an arm for the man. I would hold his arm up while he would type out whatever thoughts that he had on a communication board. He pretty much read the books. I didn't know any information about the book. I can't tell you what he read, and he typed out the information. One of my roommates was in the class with him, and they pretty much wrote some of the same things.
Today we're conducting an interview with Miss Karen Moore. And what do you do at the university?
I teach African American literature.
And how do you know Miss Stubberfield?
Well, she wrote to me. He was not in my class last semester, so it must have been 2010.
And when you say he, that's Derrick Johnson?
I only knew him as D-Man. I did not know that was his name.
And Anna would assist with?
Well, you know what that situation is. They say that, the students are saying what they want to say while she's guiding the hand, so...
Did he participate in the class?
He did. He, I guess, would... I don't know that I really believe that actually happened.
She
would, write whatever it was that he wanted to say. She'd raise her hand and she'd read it.
He would never have verbalized anything?
As far as I know, he can't talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
The mess. Ooh, the mess. Just messy. She says he, I guess.
I got a call from my assistant saying that the Special Victims Unit in New Jersey was calling. Asked me if I would be willing to provide some assistance as an expert.
Who they done brought the expert in?
As it was described to me, I'd never encountered any case that mirrored these particular circumstances. I'd never seen anything like it. In this case, the question to me was, could you evaluate Derrick to understand his best level of communication?
So now we gonna really see. You gonna really
From everything that I read, there was a consistency to the extent of his disability. But I went in with an open mind. I met him when he was brought to the prosecutor's office. He was accompanied by his brother and his mother. I already knew that he had no speech. So I proceeded to introduce different types of materials for him to indicate pictures, photographs, which are very realistic. It was difficult for him. I really didn't get very much from that. He was able to pick up some objects, but not when I said, pick up the spoon or pick up the cup. I did an interview of his mother based on everything that she had observed, and she certainly was a very good observer. I found that he was, functioning at a pretty low level. His way of telling you that he wanted something to eat was he would scoot over to the refrigerator and tap on the refrigerator. That's very functional. But to move from that to pointing to a picture of the refrigerator, that's a greater level of abstraction. And in all the years he had been in these different programs, he had never moved from the physical to that type of communication.
So that Sharonda person must have.
I spent
must have been
2 or 3
real
hours
close with Anna, and I feel like
he
she
spent
lied
a lot
for
of time just moving around the room. He liked coat hangers. So if he saw a coat hanger, he would go over and he recognized that. He liked to slap him on the floor.
This is wild.
So I just basically reported what I found.
Wow. What? 6 to 12 months. Baby. Mentally. 6 to 12 months.
I made a determination that what I was observing was consistent with what the medical record had indicated for, over 20 years of his life. There was no one in the 20 years who saw some sparkling of, something different.
Wow. That is so wild. She made this all up, honey. She made it all up. Psychopath. The picture of a psychopath.
I got the call that it's arrested.
Got arrested. Lost your whole family. Lost your job. Lost everything. Was it worth it?
So I'm so out and I'm attending the trial. This case is about everything. Communication, race, and about sex.
Mm-hmm.
And those three things got money.
Mm-hmm.
On the personal level, it's about control and it's about guilt.
Yep. Wanting to control somebody, wanting to take their virginity. Very sad. Very sad.
I was actually looking forward to the trial as finally this nightmare is going to be over.
Look. Baby. She looks like the mother of a serial killer. She looked like that demon from Legion. That granny demon. That's what she looked like. Let me leave this woman alone. I'm sorry. Let me leave her alone. I'm sorry.
I knew she was not guilty.
You are, yeah, because she got her
anything.
craziness from you. She got her obsession with disabled people from you.
I'm
You
not
got the crazy eyes too.
guilty of what they were accusing me of.
You are guilty. You are very much
The
guilty.
accusation is
Guilty
I
as charged.
have some weird perversion that makes me want to molest helpless, intellectually impaired people.
Oh, but you did though.
That's simply not the case.
That is the case. You'd like
This
to think
whole
that
thing
it's
is
not.
framed in terms of consent and his ability to consent.
Now think about it this way. What if she reincarnated? What if she reincarnated as someone that's like Derrick and somebody did that to her? How would she feel?
Because I'm the one who's accused of assault, it's all as if it was all coming from me, which is really not fair to him because he seduced me and he deserves some credit for that.
Wow.
Here's this guy who's so physically impaired and he got me to fall in love with him.
Girl, bye.
And with his words.
Girl, bye. Goodbye. Did not meet the standards of admissible evidence.
The judge kept taking things away and taking.
Look. Look at the judge's face. She looks completely over it. She looks like you are ridiculous. That's what she looked like. She looks completely over her job. Completely over it.
Things away in
I
terms
would
of
be too.
evidence. I knew that the man was the author of what he typed.
There
I
is
wasn't
no life in
influencing
her eyes
him.
at all.
But at the end of the day, I didn't have anything except my word for that. There was a morning, the prosecutor said, we're gonna bring the man into the courtroom. It was Daisy who walked him in.
I had to say who he was. And, you know, I was his mother. And the fact that he could not walk by himself independently, I just walked him in front of the judge and then around by the jury stand.
It was horrifying to me that a human being had been basically made an exhibit. I know with the man there are ways of walking with him in which he looks less handicapped, and his mother walked him in a way that made him look as handicapped and incapable as one could possibly manage.
She turned around again and she turned, always putting her body in between him and me, and walked him out.
Yeah, because you're a predator. You don't deserve to be close to him.
That some jurors, the trial is over once the son paraded through
Paraded. Oh, stop it.
And I think that if people want in the room of women, they want to protect them. But that Anna was dead, and they know all it just for having Derrick was inconceivable.
Insanity.
What we didn't have on the jury was anyone with significant physical disabilities or that understanding of a disability rights perspective on the whole case.
I really want to skip every time she talks.
At the end of the day, it was just be myself and tell my story,
right there.
and hopefully the jury would see that guy over there is this wonderful, intelligent man who I
don't even
was
believe
in love
that.
with.
You're shaking your head no. You don't even believe that. Like, stop. Your body language shows that you don't believe that.
I wouldn't have fallen in love with him if he was somebody that wasn't capable of consent. I wouldn't have fallen in love with him if he wasn't interested in reading books and talking about ideas.
You just wanted to screw.
If somebody has an interesting, engaging mind and a good heart and a beautiful soul, it shows through, and you love the person, and so you love being close to them, and you love the body that they're in because that's the body that they have.
They're letting her talk so much.
Was there any moment, either during your time with Derrick or during the trial or now, where you had doubts about what might have occurred between you two?
Never.
Her attorney came and he was making me to be the villain. And he said, well, how do you feel about her being his lover? I said, no. I said, she's not his lover. This whore done laid down, raped my son, and I had to compose myself because that's my son. Days and nights I walked through hospital corridors, not knowing what was wrong with my son, not knowing his medical condition, him having seizures. And for that moment, I almost lost it.
She should have told her about herself.
I really did.
Should have told her about herself.
Because who does that?
Right.
Who does that?
A psychopath, sociopath.
And then go criticize me.
So sad.
Make me look like I'm nobody. I don't understand. Who does that?
I don't think that Anna Stubberfield truly recognized how she devalued my brother and also devalued my family. It's one thing to hear Anna Stubberfield say, Derrick and I love each other, just like, but as the details of what actually transpired unfold, that she was in her office, she had this mat on the floor. And then you recall that moment or that day where I was changing Derrick's diaper and I saw these abrasions on his back.
His diaper.
Strawberries, like somebody's dragging you across the floor.
His diaper. Child.
And
like, come on.
We couldn't figure out where the heck these things came from.
Ain't no way.
We called the school. Did Derrick fall down? Did something happen at the school? Did somebody hit my brother? And they're like, no, nothing happened. We don't know. Prosecutors trying to figure out what happened, and the story comes out, oh, something happened in the office. And I mean, this woman, 140, 150 pounds, I don't know how much she weighed, but she's much heavier than him. Derrick is slight, he's 5'3", 5'4". And she was exerting so much force on him that his back was being dragged across this mat and it was leaving scars.
That is so devastating.
That woman did not give a damn about my brother.
Ooh, child.
I didn't think I was going to be convicted, but
of course you
I wear
didn't.
contacts. And that morning when the jury came back, I did put my glasses in my purse. It was my one little concession to, if I ended up in prison, I needed my glasses.
I think by the time the verdict actually came, I was expecting it.
I'm sure you was.
When the jury read the conviction, I started saying out loud to the judge, just, please let me take care of my daughter.
You wanna think
Just
about your
please
children.
let me take care of my daughter.
Don't you have a son, too? You wasn't thinking about your children. A little bit?
Her. Could she have played her role better? Sorry. But I think whatever went on in private, she absolutely believes what she
Yeah,
said.
and that's why she needed to be in a psych ward and not in prison.
Never doubted her. No, not for an instant. I mean, I watched her interact with people her whole life, and she is as compassionate a person as I've ever known.
People
And
have their dark
there's no
sides
way,
that
I mean,
they
she's
try to
never
hide.
harmed anybody. And there's certainly no way she would have harmed a man.
Do you think she believed that he was typing?
Yeah, in her wicked mind. In her wicked mind.
Right. In her wicked mind. In her wicked mind. Yep. Very much so.
State versus Marjorie Anna Stubberfield, indictment number 13-1-44. We are here today for the sentencing of Marjorie Anna Stubberfield. Is there anyone that'd like to speak on behalf of the state?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim's brother, John Johnson, would like to address the court. His mother would like to approach and stand with him while he addresses the court.
That's fine.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
34 years ago, doctors said my brother would not live to see his third birthday.
Look tired as hell.
Those doctors and the devil are liars. My brother since then has grown to become a loving person. He is a beautiful brother, and he is a beautiful son. I don't think Anna understood the depth of pain she caused my family. She tried to lay
She might
claim
have
to him and
something
rename
wrong with
him.
her. Let me stop laughing at her.
She tried to supplant Derrick's life. A life steeped a life steeped in the history and culture of his God-fearing, Southern-rooted, African-American family. She tried to supplant that with some version of life she thought was better. We need to disenchant ourselves from the notion that Anna Stubberfield is some tragic shero. Anna is not Sandra Bullock, and this is not The Blind Side. Derrick is not some poor black kid from the ghetto that needs someone to save him. An able-bodied woman raped a disabled young man that could not consent to sex. You were wrong, Anna. You committed a crime. There is no gray area. In closing, thank Your Honor for helping bring this ordeal to a close.
That's right.
I have read and received letters from the former husband of the defendant who wrote a very compelling impact statement.
Now listen to this.
I
This
believe
is
that
good.
Anna
This
is a
great.
pathological liar and narcissistic. She will stop at nothing to fool the court and seek vindication regardless of the emotional and financial expense to her family or the primary victim's family. Clearly, I am distraught, but this and the impact on my immediate family, I leave it to the wisdom of the court to determine a just sentence. Ms. Stubberfield,
Boom.
please stand.
Your old husband. Ex-husband.
As to count 1, first-degree aggravated sexual assault where the victim was physically helpless or mentally incapacitated. I sentence you to 12 years in New Jersey State Prison. As to count 2, I sentence you to 12 years New Jersey State Prison, concurrent with count 1. After you are released from prison, you are placed on parole supervision for life.
And then she's smiling. So I'm gonna stop it here because I feel like the justice system definitely failed Derrick. Pretty much she got off early on good behavior. And I feel like she should have been forced to serve her sentence. She should not have been let out. And so she's just living in society, doing whatever she wants to do. Living her best life after doing what she did to this young man. I'm going to stop it because watching that part pisses me off. So I'm not even going to allow myself to be re-pissed. I want to thank all of you that have tuned in. Thank you everyone that have tuned in, watched that with me. Let me know of your thoughts in the comments below to tell me how you felt about this. Like, how did it make you feel? Do you feel like she was in the wrong? Do you feel like there's a possibility that they actually could have been in love? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really do appreciate all of you that have tuned in. I will be doing more videos about this. I'm praying that I don't get a copyright, but we're gonna see. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and also push that notification bell. Make sure that you do that so that you can see my next videos coming to fruition. So I thank you so much. I'm Luna from Luna Reacts, and peace.